Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today we will talk about the green storage technology in China. My name is Wang Dianxuan. I'm working in Henan University of Technology. As we know, the green storage in the warehouse, its quality will change. The change quick or slowly will depend on some factors. That include the external factors that include the wind, temperature, light, the construction of the warehouse, and the humidity. Among these factors, the top level affecting the green quality will depend on the heat, and the infectors such as the insect, mold, and the rodent, and some other pests. During the storage, the heat will affect the storage green in many aspects. First one is the heat. Heat will come from the sun, directly from the irradiation from the sun, and the heat from the respiration of the green, insect respiration, and the active, the mold active, and so on. In China, the grain usually stored in the warehouse and other construction, but sometimes, especially after the harvest, some of them will stored in the outside of the door. Before 1990s, the grain storage condition usually is not so good, and it cannot the quality and the quantity related with the temperature change, especially for the high level of the temperature. The insect infestation, the mold active, and the moth or rodent infestation. Sometimes the bird will eat the grain. From 1950s to 1990s, some grain depot use the warehouse like this one. Usually the warehouse, the span was 20 meters long, and the length depends on the square. So usually is more than 50s. But the top level of the grain sticks usually is 2.5 meters high. And the roof of the warehouse consists of the wood, plank, and some materials preventing from the rain. It is used for preventing the infestation of the rodent bird, but it's difficult preventing from the insect infestation. If there are too much insect, we will kill them. What's the method? Fumigation. If we use the fumigation in this warehouse, because the linkage for the proof, the concentration of the fumigant will get lower and lower. And the result of insect killing will be bad. Usually, after a duration of the fumigation, some insect will survive. One generation and another generation. 1 year and another year, the resistance to the fumigant will get higher and higher. In some cities, because the land is more sere, so the construction will build in the multi-floor building. Like this building is 1, 2, 3 floors. Inside the building, the grain were stored in the bag. All the stakes were covered with the plastic sheeting for the fumigation. In the north part of China, because the rain is very few, so some small bin consist of the clay and straws was used in 1970s. Usually the diameter of this bin is 5 to 6 meters. Some grain were stored in this way. The grain stored in the pile and covered with the reeds and sheetings, preventing from the rain and humidity. Because no sealing, no heat insulation, the grain quality will change very fast. Meanwhile, some grain depot will store their grain in this way: bag and sticks. What's different between two pictures? If the grain with a low level of the moisture content, it's easy to be stored for the safety. We can pile the bags one by one, closely. If the grain with a high level of the moisture content, the bag will piled in this way. This space just for the aeration. In 1980s to 1990s, some grain were stored in this way. In the central part, the grain was stored in the bark. Around the bark, the bag constructed to be the well. In the 1990s to 1980s, some grain were stored on this field. Concrete field with the hill for the aeration and the height for the floating, preventing. Grain stored on it and covered with the pavilion for the grain sealing and fumigation. Meanwhile, some grain depot with bad condition, like this one. At its gate, the insect, rodent, especially sometimes for the fire. In 1990s, new type of the grain storage outside of the warehouse, like this one, that's with the steel pile and night for the weave, for the well. All the grain stored in the bark and covered with the pavilion. On the top, just here, is a fan over there for aeration. Okay, this picture is in Beijing in 1980s. Nowadays, here is the new building. From 1998, the Chinese government invested a big sum of the money to construct some new type of warehouse. About 85% is huge flat storage like this one. Usually, the span of the warehouse from 21, 24, 27, 30 meters for the width. The length of the warehouse usually more than 50 meters. The height of the grain bag usually is 6 meters high. All the warehouse equipped with the fumigation, closed loop fumigation, and the ventilation duct connect of the fan for the aeration of ventilation, just like this one. Inside the grain bag, there is a temperature sensor to monitoring the temperature in the grain bag. Okay. For this new type of the warehouse, we can get the good condition for the no rodent, no fungus, archaea, no birds into the warehouse, and less the insect pests. We can get the ceiling for the humidity come in and come out. How to carry the grain in the grain storage nowadays? Usually before loading, we will control the quality and monitoring and checking or inspecting the quality, such as the moisture content. After the loading, the grain in the warehouse usually stored in the bag. After loading, all the grain bag will get flat on the surface of the grain bag. We keep good condition of sanitation. Sometimes get the protection by contact chemicals or inner dust. If the temperature is higher, we will get the aeration usually after the autumn and in the winter. In the summer, if the temperature in the grain mass is very high, we will get the grain chilling, get the cooling of the grain temperature. It means around 1 year, the temperature will control sometime level. Usually we control the temperature, average temperature less than 15 centigrade is low temperature grain storage. If there are too much insect in the grain mass, especially in the summer, fumigation. Nowadays, the fumigation usually by the phosphate. From 2000, since 2000, some grain depot began use the control atmosphere with nitrogen to kill the insect. How to control the quality before loading? Control the moisture content. Nowadays, the safety level of the moisture content for the grain storage will according to the different area. As we know, in the south part of China, usually with a high temperature, high level of the relative humidity, but the north part of China usually is drier, low level of the more humidity. Another aspect is control the quality with the impurity or foreign materials. For the national standard, we asked the foreign materials were less than 1%. For the dosage, will depend on different grade of the grain. For example, for the wheat, the grade 1, 2, 3, we will ask the unsound corners were less than 6%. And for the grade 4, were less than 8%. But for the grade 5, will be less than 10%. The quality will get by the order and the color of the cereals. Here is an example. For wheat, we usually ask the moist content were less than 12.5%. Corn, paddy rice, and so on. How is about the insect in the storage grain? According to the Chinese national standard, we divide the insect infestation level for 4 grades. If the insect total number is less than 5 adults, and the primary insect less than 2 per kilogram, it will take as a null or near null. If the insect adults, the number of the adults in this range for the primary insect, meanwhile, for all the insects in this range will be normal grade. The insect more than 30 adults and more than 10 adults for the primary insect will take as a serious. For this grade, yearly fumigation will be carried out. If the grain was import from the other country, we will check it seriously for the insect, especially for the quarantine insect. For the rice and flour, no insect in the products. But it's difficulty to get the level of no mites. So we take the mites were less than 30 per kilometer of the cereal products. What's this? Weevil and beetle. Now, the list of insects is the primary insect in Chinese. I think someone have known some of them. Usually in the cereal storage, the insect can be found such as the Cytophilus oryzo, Cytosis mice, Rhizopus dominica, and tiny broad Marytanicus, and 2 species of moths. This one, and this one will be found in the storage bin or piece. Before loading, the grain quality will be get the inspection, before inspection to get the sample. How to get the sample? Sometimes by hand. Now, all around the China, in many grain depots, before the grain loading, the sample by this machinery. The sample can be vacuumed from the pipe into the laboratory and get the inspection. If the foreign material is more than 1%, screening is necessary. We can see the truck take the grain in the bags, unpack it, and going through the screener and convey it into the warehouse. On the beginning, the grain were loading through the wind door near the ground, but on the ending of the loading, the grain will be lifted, going through the window on the top level. What is about drying? If the moisture content is too high, it is not suitable for loading for long-time storage. Drying is necessary. Different place, different farmer or dealer will with different methods for grain drying. It is very simple, but the hygiene is not so good. In this way, it is clean. The air will get the grain drier and drier. For the large quantity of the grain after loading, we can get the grain drying by ventilation. On the bottom of the grain bag, there are some ventilation ducts. Over here, connected with the fan. With the wind and blowing it, the moisture content will get lower and lower. If the moisture content is too high, many pipes will insert into the grain mass, connect the aeration pipe and the fan, get the aeration powerfully. For the small scale of the farmer, the grain can be drying by this grain dryer. Usually use it along the Yangtze River. Large scale of the grain drying usually used in the north part of China, especially in the northeast part of China. Usually, in the northeast part of China, the corn will be drying in large scale. Along the Yangtze River, the drying grain is the paddy rice. After loading, the grain will stored in the warehouse for a long time. What means a long time? Usually more than 1 year. According to the regulation, the Chinese grain paddy rice were stored for 3 years. For the wheat, were stored for the 3 to 5 years. Long time storage. It is different from some other country. In some other country, More than 3 months is a long time. So during the storage of the cereals in the warehouse, we will get the monitoring the quality once a season, monitoring the stability every time by the temperature monitoring, monitoring the fat value of the grain quality 2 times 1 year, monitoring the insect or checking the insect anytime, usually in the summer. But we can get some later time during the winter. Nowadays, some new technique for the monitoring, it is checking the concentration of the carbon dioxide. How to monitoring the temperature? Before 1980s, the temperature can be known in this way. A probe into the grain mass and pour out to check the centigrades. In 1980s, check the grain in this way. Electronic cap connect to a monitor. Nowadays, almost every warehouse equipped with electronic temperature monitoring. The temperature sensor usually in different level and different location. This is one sample of the temperature monitoring screen. We can see temperature for the space temperature. That is the temperature in the grain mass. Different temperature can be get the different color. Usually, the red is for higher, the green is for lower. How to carry out the insect monitoring, sampling, saving, and checking. What time we will do it depends on the temperature of the grain. The temperature of grain less than 15 centigrade once a month. And in this range, 2 weeks. More than 2050 once a week. If the grain have some insect, like the quarantine insects, once a week, any temperature. It is familiar for everyone. For the top level sampling by the self, for the grain sample inside the grain mass by the vacuum sampler. Some grain depot use a new method like this one. The probe inserts into the grain mass, connect a pipe, and connect a switch and the vacuum. The insect crawling into the probe can be observed through the pipe to the outside of the warehouse. The probe inserts grain mass. The switcher also inside of the warehouse, but the collect bottle for the insect is outside of the warehouse. Usually, the greenkeeper will get the sanitation for the storage grain. They asked grain maintaining the environment with the grain surface like a mirror. It means very clean. Meanwhile, get the good protection for sealing the window. If get aeration, open the window, the net on the window is for the flying insect preventing. That is a barrier with the contact insecticide. That one is with the diatomaceous earth. If the grain growing from here to here, the insect will die in the process. How to carry out the aeration? By fans. Different fans get different speed of the temperature lowering. For the centrifugal fan, it is usually more fast for the aeration. The airflow will go through like this arrow. Axial fan usually gets the aeration smoothly, slowly. Nowadays, some warehouse with the aeration controlled automatically. They can monitoring the relative and the temperature outside of the warehouse. Meanwhile, compare with them with the temperature with the temperature in the grain mass. In the summer, if the temperature in the grain mass is a bit too high, we have no the cold air in the environment. What will we do? Cooling. Cooling by chiller, like this one. The green cereals chiller usually with powerful. Many warehouses will get the grain temperature lowering by air conditioner. Some warehouse, the top surface of the grain mass usually covered with plastic sheeting. We control the temperature on the surface by the air recirculation. After the temperature lowering, keep the low temperature is very important. Control the temperature with low level by different methods for the proof of the warehouse, the door, the window, and the door, with the heat insulation materials, and close them tightly. If there are too much insect, kill the insect as necessary by fumigation. Notice the fumigation usually with the phosphan. The phosphan usually comes from the tablets of the aluminum phosphide. How to get the phosphan? In different ways. Put the tablets on the tree. Many trees will put on the top of the grain mass. On-site phosphan generator is also used in Chinese grain storage. Usually, it will mix with the carbon dioxide for the safety. Phosphan in the calendar is not used in China. After phosphan application, keep the concentration and keep the concentration uniform as necessary. One method is by the recirculation. Nowadays, some warehouse kill the insect by atmosphere control with the nitrogen. Here is an example, a picture for the nitrogen generator. The air comes from here, gets the cleaning and separating and stored in a bin. According to the necessity, pour the nitrogen into the warehouse. This picture is the area of one grain depot. There are many warehouses like this one, different number, different warehouse. The nitrogen generator station is over there. Connect the station into different wells by the pipes and the valve. How to control the concentration of the nitrogen? More than 25%. Usually, we control the nitrogen concentration more than 28. Kill the insect usually in 2 weeks. Okay, this is the outline of the Technics Chinese grain storage. Thank you very much.